Speaking of which, the president also posted this morning about potentially changing companies' quarterly reports, saying, quote, subject to SEC approval, companies and corporations should no longer be forced to report on a quarterly basis, quarterly reporting, but rather to report on a 6-month basis. This will save money, allow managers to focus on properly running their companies. Jim, the Securities Exchange Act of 34 might have something to say about this.
It's interesting because in a lot of countries you can do it that way, and basically it's like it is better. I remember Andy Grove in Only the Paranoid Survive said the quarter is the essence. That's exactly the time that we should use to measure CEOs. And it was brutal. He said it's a brutal thing to use a quarter as a measure, but it's the right thing. And I think it is brutal. I think that you kind of you have to put it together 90 days. How many people? I'm watching Under Armour today downgraded. Why? Because the turn is not going to happen this quarter. The notion of something this quarter is how we think, and it's how money managers think. And when you're with Tim Cook in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, he doesn't want to. The valuation per quarter is not the way he's thinking.
No, and there's long been a lot of people who bemoan the fact that we are not long-term focused in nature and how difficult it is to be a public company, constantly responding. And that said, what would the world look like? And by the way, I don't know that it matters, Carl, that there's a law or whatever it might be. Who cares?
If Congress wants to pass a new law, they're welcome to.
Yeah, but how many things have we had happen? And maybe it could be under an emergency power. I don't know.
What?
We need emergency elimination of quarterly reporting.
It's an emergency.
Are you talking? What? Based on what? Or are you being facetious?
I'm just saying that we've seen other matters where it would seemingly require an act of Congress, but it hasn't. Right. So you can't not take this seriously. What would happen, Jim, if we went to half-yearly reporting?
Candidly, I think it would be better. I think we're too short-sighted.
Really?
Yeah, I really do.
You feel like you get enough information from companies? Where would it come from?
I just think that there's too many companies trying to do a turn and are intimidated by the next quarter. That people think about the next quarter. When you deal with a lot of companies that look next quarter, or this, I mean, it's a very tough time frame. Now, I used to agree with Grove. I now find there's companies that are trying to do long-term thinking, and they're just whacked by the quarter. Whacked. I mean, look, Eaton today, upgraded by Melius. Okay, now Eaton does electrical transformation. They're building a new plant. They have to make more capacity. The plant doesn't come on time. Next thing you know, everyone downgrades Eaton.
No, but how are you supposed to have a sense as to how a company? I mean, 6 months is a fairly long time. Okay. By the way, the volatility you could imagine around earnings season would be enormous, given you might not have heard from these companies unless they're going to conferences and sharing more. Well, if they got Reg FD, they might all. Who knows?
That's what I'm thinking. That you would just do like there's a Laguna conference Morgan Stanley has, and they let them talk during the period. Let them talk. Make the quiet period maybe the last 6 months, 6 weeks. Look, I'm saying it's better for them. For us, no.
Yeah, I was going to say you're normally a voice for the shareholder.
Yeah,
and I assume for the shareholder you'd want more high frequency.
I want all the information possible. If I were a CEO, I would be welcoming this because it is so hard to do a quarterly job. I mean, look, Warren Buffett is the only guy who's transcended the quarter. No one cares about this quarter. It's like meaningless. But everybody else is hostage. So if I were a CEO, I'd want that. Now, I would tell you, as someone who's reporting the news, I want something every day from these guys. But I am not dismissive of what the CEOs might want because I have to think about the president's thinking. He may not be as oriented toward the shareholder, more oriented toward the CEO.
It's not the first time this has come up, Carl. I mean, under Jay Clayton, it was discussed as well. He may push back on it. Again, I don't know if you remember, but we've
been pointing out this op-ed from Diamond and Buffett in 2018. Short-termism is harming the economy. You might recall this one.
I think this part of short-termism.
Did they recommend potentially going to
the subhead was
reporting?
Public companies should reduce or eliminate the practice of estimating quarterly earnings.
Yeah.
Well, the estimates, it is just brutal because it's made it so that when the CFO talks, everything just stops. And if they don't raise the FAR numbers, then the stock just.
What are you going to do? I mean, you're going to have to. What are you going to do? You sit here in literally great conference calls all the time.
That's what I do. Look,
you're only going to be able to do it twice a year now.
If you own a restaurant, believe me, you only want to have a review. You don't want to have constant reviews. You want to have a review. When you do a Broadway play, you have a review. When you do it lasts once. When you do a company, you have reviews every quarter.
And I look at the
reviews. I do. But
yes, you do, right?
And distinguish between the companies and the people who follow the companies.
Yeah,
the president's speaking for the CEOs. As someone who speaks for the people, we need quarterly reports. But as someone who speaks for the CEOs, they just tell him, "Listen, we report too much," and he's. Do you think he has different constituencies?
No, it's an interesting debate because there is there has long been this debate that we're too short-term focused, that the average mutual funds ownership period is, what is it, less than 9 months? I don't even know where it stands anymore. Obviously, we've been dealing with hedge funds for the last quarter century or more. We're in and out of these things typically very often. So there is that, but at the same time, I mean, you literally are the guy who sits here and opines on every conference call.
I'm their enemy. I'm like reviewing the conference call. I don't like this. I don't like that. This is wrong. You think they want that? Oh, I hate Jim just trashed my conference call. He's such a good guy. No.
But all right, to the extent that the allocation of capital is the most important thing and it being appropriately allocated, does it enhance that or does it detract from it?
I think that the quarterly basis makes it tougher for them to make long-term decisions. But I'm using Andy Grove's analysis that the quarter's fine. It's just that if the president asked me, do you think, I think I would, if I were a CEO, I'd say, listen, it's so time-consuming, it's expensive, and I get bogged down. I lose 2 weeks every quarter. Let's cut it out.
Talking to the people who bought your stock.
I'm sorry, David. I'm speaking for them. Me, I want it to be eighths.
I don't know who you're talking
How about
for.
eighths?
Who?
1/8 instead of
1/8. Oh, yeah.
That's what I want. 1/8.
There you go.
1/8.
A month and a half.
Yeah. Every 6 weeks?
Every 6 weeks. How about seasons? I create them every Sunday.